Hello and welcome. I'm Jenny Hall. Thanks for joining me for another card making tutorial. Today I'd like to share a clean and simple card design with you. I'm creating the look of a hydrangea bloom with beautiful bouquet stamps and dies from Stampin' Up. I have already gotten some pre-cut dies cuts made from thick Whisper White cardstock. I'll be adding color to these to get the look of a blue/violet hydrangea with some of the selected Stampin' Blends alcohol markers. By adding colors, 3 different blooms are going to look unique, and they will be placed together to form a circle or a bloom head, and they'll all have a little bit of a different color. Sticking with the blues, the blue-greens, and the violets, I'm going to add the color to the die cuts, and the colors will mix together while being held in the paper. It's a very unique process working with alcohol markers. One of the blooms is going to have a purplish tint, another one is going to have a blue-green tint, and the other bloom has more of just a blue tint with some highlights that will lay on top. The stem and the leaves are colored with the light green marker in the Stampin' Blend set, and I've gone and added some shadows with a darker marker. I'm using a panel of watercolor paper together with my aqua painter and my dye ink stamp pads to give some atmosphere to where I'd like to place my die cuts. Giving this edge of table atmosphere with a little bit of a background distortion behind it is going to give a grounded look to my image, which will definitely be a little bit different than just leaving the panel without any background colors and have my bloom sit out in outer space. I'm going to make sure that it's completely dry before I attach. I tried this with the blends markers and I wasn't happy with the look, so watercolor was my preferred choice. I've mounted my watercolor paper onto a white panel and attached that with dimensionals down to the card base. To get the circular look of one bloom of a hydrangea, I'm using mini glue dots to attach these die cuts together. Placing the colors to where they're in on top of each other, but to where the interest comes out is the fun part of attaching them to make one unit. The greenery pieces, meaning the leaves and the stem, are also attached with mini glue dots, but of course you can use whatever kind of adhesive you prefer. Mini glue dots are one of my favorites. And I'm using the mini glue dots to also attach this unit down to the card. If I used Stampin' Dimensionals, they would show through, and if I used liquid glue, it would get all over my hands, so mini glue dots worked out well for me on this project. They do show through on the bloom head, so I've taken the embossing buddy and kind of just deactivated some of that stickiness. The stamp set that comes with this bundle is amazing, and there's so many sentiments to use. However, I want to not take away from the actual flower. Instead, I've created a little tag with the "For You," and I'm keeping with the natural look and using some linen thread to attach it down to the bloom. Making a simple bow on the top, I'll attach this tag down to the bloom with some more of those mini glue dots. Now don't worry, I don't throw away the linen thread whenever I have used up some of it. I always take a little more area to tie, and then I save those little pieces because they'll turn up in another project somewhere. I decided not to use the Stampin' Dimensionals to add any dimension to the tag because using the glue dots one on top of the other is just enough to add just that right amount of separation between the two pieces of paper. When I have fresh flowers, and hydrangeas are one of my favorite flowers, the hydrangea blooms, the little tiny pieces, always fall off and leave the little dots all over my counter or my shelf. I recently had some in my craft room, and these tiny little colored dots are the offcuts from the bloom clusters. So attaching them underneath the bloom on this table look area gives that look of it being a real flower, and it just breaks up the look a little bit. I'm using one of the gray markers from the Stampin' Blends marker set to add some interest color. The paper will actually pull the color from what application site and make it kind of bleed in a little bit. It's just a different way to be able to feature on the inside of the card. Thank you so much for joining for this tutorial. I really enjoyed working on this project. Be sure to give the video a like and please subscribe to my channel. All of the products are available right now in my online store. Thanks so much for choosing me as your online Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching the video. See you next time.